All right, this is Reagan Adler, and today I'm making just a quick, tutorial, just showing you my basic process for creating a brand new audio drama episode in Reaper. So what you're going to do is, first thing, I like to turn Snap off. Snap is a great feature if you're making music, not so much if you're making audio drama. There's other things you can mess with here. You can turn grid lines off and on. You can change your ripple editing, group things together. Somewhere in here you can turn crossfade off and on, undo. You probably will never need metronome. So you'll notice right away that this is different than Audacity in that you can't just hit record and it starts. You get a warning, and the first time I started, I was like, I can't even record in this. I was expecting to have trouble figuring out how to edit in Reaper and having to watch videos, but I wasn't expecting not even be able to figure out how to record. So this video is for complete newbies like I was. So what you'll want to do is right click in this black area and insert new track. And I get confused easily, so I like to name my tracks. So Holly voice. I also like to color code everything because that's who I am as a person. So if you right click on the track somewhere where there's not a button, you can go down to track color here and set tracks to custom color. I tend to like to do red for recording when I'm working on something, and you can insert multiple tracks. So if you know you're going to have a bunch of sound effects, you can do that, and it's like, oh, awesome. Now I have 3 tracks that are SFX 1, 2, and 3, and you can, it comes clicked on already, but if you hit Command or Control, depending on if you're Mac or Windows, you can select them all, right click again, track color, you can set them to one random color, perfect. So you'll notice I still can't record. I go there and do it, I still get the warning. What the heck? So what you actually need to do, it's a good feature, it just is a little complicated. You want to click on ARM. You want to hit that button so you can only record in this one track, because otherwise, if it were like Audacity, you might accidentally record over something you don't want to. So it's actually a really good, safe feature. I still manage to record over my tracks all the time because I'm smart like that. That's my superpower, is just destroying everything. But theoretically, it's a safeguard. So you're not going to be able to hear my system audio, unfortunately, but I'm going to just show you what happens. So now if I hit record, testing 1, 2, 3, check, check. I wish I could think of something cool to say, but I can't. So to end this, you can hit the record button, or you can hit stop. You can hit the stop button, I think, or you can hit space bar on your keyboard. I almost always hit space bar. There's other shortcuts too, like I want to say R is record. I don't tend to do that, but when I'm recording, it's nice to just reach over and hit the space bar. You'll find your own flow. Once you get the basics, you can start playing around with things, and that's when it gets really fun or frustrating, depending on what your deadline is like. But okay, so one thing you may be having trouble with if you're trying to record and it's still not working, Reaper will probably give you a pop-up for this saying, hey, you need to pick your audio device. Let's see. So if you go into Reaper preferences, it'll usually take you straight to audio device. And from there, you'll want to pick whatever you are using. So make sure if you have a mixer or an audio interface, you want to make sure you're selecting that. So if you're having trouble, just make sure you have your correct audio device selected. And you should, obviously, you can see right here, you can see this. You generally want to be within like 24 and 18 RMS. I don't even know what that means, but I know that's where you want to be. So you can see right here, it'll show you, 18 and 30. If you're somewhere in that range, you're good. Otherwise, you'll want to edit that in your master mix, which we'll talk about later, probably, or another video. All right. So now that theoretically, once you have everything set up, so you might have some music that you always put at the beginning of your theme. You're going to spend a lot of time just playing with this and inserting stuff. For instance, if I wanted to insert music, I would change this obviously, but if you want to insert music, you would go, oh no, I did all caps. You would have a music track, and then you would go to insert, and it would just paste it right in there. Alternatively, you can go to Finder or the folder that the music is in, and you can drag and drop right into that track. It's really easy. I was glad that was easy to use. So no worries there. It's really easy. Just remember insert and then media file, and that'll get you to wherever you want to be. One quick note, if you want to select everything, like eventually you're going to be editing and you're going to be splitting, I just put the cursor where I want it to be and then hit the S key, and that will split it. So then you can drag around stuff. So if you want to select all the tracks, instead of having to hit Command or Control and then selecting every single one, which gets really tedious if you have literally like 500 tracks, what you can do is just double click anywhere that's not a button. See, like, so you don't want to click on these, obviously. This will, if you want to do stereo, like if you have 2 mics, normally just leave it alone. I've never messed with this, I don't think. But if you have multiple spots and you want to record 2 people at the same time, you might click this person as input 1, which is the first mic, this person's input 2. And you notice now it's not recording or it's not armed to record because I don't have a mic plugged into input 2. But if you switch it back, so this person might be input 2 if you have like a random guitar plugged in or something, and you're doing it at the same time. I don't know. But yeah, so that's the basics of that. One feature that I really enjoy, and it's pretty cool. I don't know that it's worth all the hype, but if you go to options and you click on ripple edit per track, now, ooh, look at that. Woo! So if you pull on one, it pulls on the other, but only things behind it. So if I do this, it doesn't affect it. But everything, so if you have this file way back here and you say, oh, I want it to be at the very front, you can turn on ripple editing per track and pull the first file, and everything will come with it. So one thing that doesn't cover, though, is if you have 2 things and you want to pull them both, oh no, it only pulls the one. So for this, you can either turn on ripple edit all tracks, in which case I just have this one selected, but it pulls everything in the whole project. But sometimes with audio dramas, especially near the end, once you have ambient noise pulled in, sometimes it can really mess up your ambient noise. So what you'll want to do sometimes is go back and turn off ripple edit all tracks, or turn it to per track. And then instead of doing this, you can just Command or Control click on multiple tracks if you just want to pull a couple but not all of them. So that's a really handy feature that it took me a long time to learn. Obviously, you can do fade in, fade out. So this makes it loop back around. But if you put it toward the top, usually your cursor looks like this, and you can fade in, fade out, which is really handy when you're editing and you want to make sure it doesn't sound weird, or if you have a lot of background ambient noise. One thing that, again, it's frustrating that you can't hear my system sound, but one thing that I learned from Lindsey Graham, who creates Terms Podcast, is how to glue and basically make a background noise. Now, I do this pretty close to the end, if not very last. So a lot of times when you're working on something, you'll need to split your files. So right here, like, oh, I need to split these two and put a little more space in between them. So, but now you have this gap where there's no background noise, no room tone. And so it can be a little jarring to hear, like, talk, 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 buzz, and dead silence. And that's really jarring, and you don't want that. So when you're done with all this editing and everything, you can right click and, like I did, glue items, and then just drag all the way down. And then pull your items on. But again, it can do weirdness like this crossfade. You can turn crossfade off somewhere. Yeah, so over here in the corner, right above my very top track, you can turn crossfade off, and there, it's gone. I usually, as a general rule, I do leave crossfade on. It usually does what I want it to. But if you have trouble with it, or I find just making the file longer than my track. So, and here again, this is something where I usually will, when I find a track I like, I'll glue it across so that when I'm listening it doesn't sound weird. But you do want to eventually put all your tracks on top of it. So if I don't want to pull it down, which I can do, I might double click, select all, and drag them all up to the same line. But again, that's very last, because sometimes when you do this and then you're trying to edit files, it will select the back ones. So you're trying to record and it's just moving everything. So I do that last, but it's important to know. So there, now you know. I'm going to show you how to reduce some noise in your background. But before I do that, I just want to show you quickly some cool features. So you can save your project as a template, and it will let you save it as whatever. So you can see here I have ACX, which I do audiobook narration. And so that's a different, I can show you what that looks like. Or you can save it as, whatever your episodes are, or if you have a different format for Patreon or for mini episodes, you can have a template for all of these, and it's really helpful. So what you want to do, another thing you can do is click on File and then New Project tab. But you can also go to Project Templates, which is right here, and you can go to whatever template you have. So that makes it so you can have multiple tabs open. I don't know how many I would safely open just in case it crashed, but I'm frequently working on 2 different episodes and a mini episode and an audiobook or 2 and some auditions. So it's really nice to be able to have multiple tabs without having to save and close every time I want to switch between, because I switch between pretty frequently. So this is what my template looks like. You can see, so you can scroll in and out, and if you go to the corner here, you can collapse, or you can make it longer or shorter. So you can see this is my default recording track. I use red for record, green for finished. So I might, one thing I might do is I might click solo so that I don't hear the background music while I'm recording, because that can be really distracting, and sometimes it can even bleed through on my audio, which is not what I want. So I hit solo because I have other stuff that I don't want to hear while I'm recording, and then I'll hit record. This is Holly, broadcasting on all frequencies using protocol Minister Delta, blah, blah, blah. I'm not in the mood to voice act today. So, done. And then you want to hit save all. And then boom. So now if I wanted to hear it all played together, I could open it and hit spacebar. Blah, blah, blah. And so you can see I have my evergreen text saying, like, hey, start at the beginning. Start at the beginning. And my music track and my Morse code. And this is also where I drop sensor beeps if I need to, because I like them to be the same loudness. And obviously down here on the mixer, you can control all your stuff. James tends to send me kind of quieter audio, and Sarah tends to send me a little bit louder. So I can get it very uniform by messing with these individual track volumes, and I set mine. You can see mine is set about where I want it to be. And then the master volume, if everything's a little quiet or a little loud, there you go. You can mess with that. You can go to effects, and let me see. All right, we can go to effects now. This is the master, so this would do it to all of them. I probably don't want to do that because what I'm going to show you mostly affects my recording. But first, let me record some silence real quick. And that's why I use solo. Yeah, okay. Okay, did you see how beautifully I just recorded over my file? Whoops. It's fine. It's there somewhere nope, it's gone. So I do this more often than I care to admit. You can't hear my system audio again, but you can we'll assume this is dead silence except for, like a buzz or a hiss from the AC, which you can probably hear in my video now. So what you would want to do is enable this, select the silence with no clicks. You want to make sure you can pull the volume up and make sure all the way up by clicking on this line in the middle. Like, okay, there's nothing. Oh no, let me make it. There we go. So then you position your cursor at the beginning, and yeah, it's pretty quiet. And it just starts over from the beginning. So cool. That's done. So now I'm going to click on this button right here. It says FX, and Reefer is the one I usually want. REAFIR. Who knows what it stands for? That's the one we want. There are others you can use. I don't tend to use them fairly often. Usually I will Google something if I don't know how to do it in Reaper. But anyway, Reefer is the one I use almost all the time. So I have presets here. You can make presets when you have it the way you like. You click on this little plus sign right here. But what I'm going to show you is we're going to reset to factory default. One thing, so you want to make sure it goes green sometimes, because I sometimes will have it set to off, which you do with this little power sign. And if it's set to off for whatever reason, it doesn't like that. So, all right. So once you're in Reefer, under no preset, you're going to go where it says mode EQ. You're actually going to go to subtract, and you're going to click automatically build noise profile enable during noise. So you have toggle repeat on, and yeah. So what you do when you're all set up, you just hit spacebar, or you can go over here and manually hit the play button, and it will start subtracting that noise right there. Wow, look at that. So that's all the background noise in the room. But one thing I've found, and you want to make sure you unclick this checkbox, automatically build noise profile, because otherwise, if you keep it checked and you start playing anything else outside of the silence, like the room tone, it will start subtracting like your voice and things from that, and you don't want that. So, but I found, so when I do this, it comes really distorted. It sounds like really garbled, like bad Skype over a bad connection, and you don't want that. So what I like to do is it says right here, shift draws line and command moves all. So if you hit command, or probably control if you're on Windows, you can lower it all down. And so that's good. And so I lower pretty much all of it down. And then I play it again, and I'm like, okay, where's the worst of the noise? So I can see there's a peak right here, so I kind of, Oh, let me pull shift. So I use shift to kind of pull up a peak right there, and there's another peak right here. I'm just gonna pull it up a little bit. Oh, that's too much. It's a little finicky. You'll have to play with it. But in general, you can get a nice little end right there. And so if you have a pretty consistent recording studio, like right now my fan noise is on, but it's not always. But it's not ideal. Thanks, MacBook. But yeah, so once you have it, you can just make a preset. So you click this, save preset, boom, and yeah. And if you want to remove this, you can hit remove. If you want to add another one, but we're not doing that. So you can also play with the output gain if it sounds wonky. Sometimes we're lowering it down to. I usually end up at like -0.2. I don't know why. But that can reduce a lot of the noise floor, your noisy room tone, or like right now my noisy computer fan, or yeah, basically I don't mess with anything else. Sometimes if I want to do like a weird telephone noise, I might come here and do something like this, and it makes distortion. I mostly don't mess with this. If you need to mess with this, this is more advanced than what I'm going into today, but you can Google it. And also, if you don't want to delete something, but you just want to not have it when you have the other effects, you can check and uncheck it. You can right click and chain things and do all sorts of fancy things, but I'm not messing with that in this video. There. So now this whole track has reduced background noise, which is great and what you want. And because we manually changed it, it should have a lot less distortion. So if these two are spaced exactly alike and I want to move them all around like this, but I don't want to risk them coming apart because I have the perfect spacing, I might group them. So you can see now if I click somewhere else, I've only got one selected, but oh, they both move. Great. So that's handy. Yeah, that's all I had. If you have questions, feel free to comment or ask me, and I'm happy to help. Really, everyone in the Reaper community and in the audio drama community in general is so nice and so happy to help with anything. So chances are you can Google it and someone's made an even better video, but I wanted to do one specifically for getting started, just throwing together an audio drama. All right. Well, let me know if I missed anything, and hopefully this helps.